Hey y'all, how are you doing? I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. It's me, Kim, and I'm back for another video. Well, vodcast. Hey, shout out to all of the new YouTube subscribers. But if you are encountering this podcast on a YouTube channel, make sure you head on over to KimberlyNicoleFoster.co. I'm happy to see y'all. Hi. I had the best weekend. You guys. The weather in Dallas is gorgeous. There were tons of things to do last weekend. The vibes, immaculate. I went shopping a couple different places and including grocery shopping, which is a new thing for me. I've just included grocery shopping. So for the longest time, I have outsourced that because I get overwhelmed in grocery stores. But in this current era, I'm trying to force myself to do the things that I've avoided. As I mentioned previously, I've been reading the fake inspiration porn content. It's not fake. It is inspiration porn, though. And the neurobiologist said that in order to grow the part of your brain that can do hard things, you have to do the things that you would avoid. So I do still get my meals delivered. In fact, they just did the delivery yesterday. And I had one of the meals. It was, okay, this is Country Kim coming out. It was fried pork chops. It was so good. That's why I will never give up on Front Porch Pantry, girl. I will never give up on them. But I also am going to the supermarket. Do they call it the supermarket? Anyways, I go to Central Market in Dallas. Because Central Market is also very easy to navigate. That's why I like it. It's not all those bright colors. It's just the best grocery store, okay? And so we went to the grocery store and, did the shopping and bought some things. And I bought these hot pink roses and they are gorgeous. I always try to keep fresh flowers in my home and sometimes they're good. Even from the fancy places, sometimes they're not so good. But these hot pink roses are gorgeous, and they've only gotten more gorgeous as the days have gone on. Why am I mentioning this? Why do I care? Well, I'm also trying to do the thing where I make sure to appreciate all of the little things that make life good. If you are striving toward big goals and macro, long-term goals, it's easy to lose sight of the day-to-day. And I'm realizing that life is going by so quickly. My nieces are at the end of their 6th grade year. Do you remember 6th grade? I remember 6th grade. I remember middle school like it was yesterday. I remember holding them as newborns in Oklahoma. It's just, I think a part of the utility of children, the usefulness of children is to repopulate the earth, but they are such a good marker of the passage of time. So my attempt to, what the girls would say, romanticize my life is about slowing down, appreciating the moment that we're in, appreciating that the things that make life good and joyful are not always the big fancy trips or whatever. It's, do you get to wake up every day in an environment that you love, that looks beautiful to you, that you can make beautiful? That's where I am. I'm low key, and I can't believe I'm saying this. This is how I know I'm old. I'm low key in my B. Smith, Martha Stewart era. I understand Jackie Ina's transition. I really do. Because I don't know. Once you start making that, y'all will see. Because I used to make fun of it. My mom, when I was in middle school, she went through this interior decoration phase. Hardcore. HGTV would be on all the time. She redecorated the whole house, had walls painted. I redecorated my room. New furniture, new sconces, new this, new that, painting the fireplace. And I just remember this is kind of, is this what a midlife crisis looks like? That was Kimberly back in, what was this? I don't know. 2001 or whatever. Maybe this is what a midlife crisis looks like. Maybe that is where I am, but it's great. So anyway, back to the weekend. I was bopping around Dallas with Malcolm. how many steps did we get in? 13,000, 14,000 on Saturday alone. That's a lot for me. We're having so much fun and we're gazing into each other's eyes and we're holding hands. And it dawned on me that spring is the best time to be in love. No wonder there's all these poems about it and songs about it. And so many films are set in the springtime. It just is. The lightness of it, the brightness, the renewal aspect. It's not too hot. I swear, we were out and about and I felt like I was in an A. video. Speaking of that, how many tangents have we had so far? But I need to do another tangent. I watched the Why Don't We Fall in Love video the other day. Oh my God. Shout out to A. Always, she's been an incredible supporter. In fact, I did a little interview with her a couple of years ago. I'll dig up that link and I'll try to post it. She is gorgeous. She is smart. She is talented. The looks in that video, that particular video, sick. Sick. Watch me try to recreate those aesthetic moments. Since we are in a renewed early 2000s vibe, right now the vibe is late 90s, early 2000s. It's really taking me back to my 106 and Park days. But okay, back on track. If you're into romantic love, and a lot of the girls aren't, but if you are, find your boo in the wintertime and pop out in the spring. That's the best timeline. Now, I hate the fact that my anniversary is in January. In fact, we barely celebrate it because I hate that our anniversary is in a cold weather month. Like, I just wish we could change the date. I've suggested this, by the way. He's not into it. But in the spring, when y'all are fully locked in, it's so good. A pet peeve of mine when I talk about romantic love and gazing, touching, rubbing, kissing, hugging. Hate when people are like, yeah, you can do romance with friends. No, you can't. I'm sorry, you guys. I am so sorry. I am not trying to be heterosexist. I am not promoting compulsory heterosexuality or compulsory sexuality. Like, shout out to the aromantics. I get why people say that, but I feel like that's what people say when they don't want to completely relinquish their desire for romantic love or partnership or relationship or intimacy. The kind of intimacy, the passion, the non-sexual touching, the prolonged eye contact, the look over and giggle and smile and wink. That's romance. I mean, it's just a different thing. It's a very specific thing. And today we call it romance, but that magnetism, that draw has been named and discussed in different ways, in different cultures, in different times as a specific thing. Now, the difference between how other cultures in different time periods discuss it and how we discuss it is not always central. But it is a thing that exists, and I honor that. What's really new, even in the European context, the Western context from which we emerge, probably if you're listening to this, the new thing is the connection between that magnetism, that draw, and marriage or long-term partnership. This was in Marriage, A History, How Love Conquered Marriage by Stephanie Kuntz that I've been referencing all the time. I'm going to move on from it. Don't worry. We get the romance turn in the 12th century, but it really takes hold in the 19th century. And then it accelerates into the 20th century. Before then, you feel the romantic connection. You find somebody that you want to touch, rub, kiss, hug, and that would be your secret baby daddy. Or that's your side dude. That's your little boo thing. But that's not your husband. Like, no. You experience the thing. You feel the butterflies. You're floating when we see them. But that's not the person you would pick to be your husband. That's new. Marriage is rarer now because people do not want to marry somebody who doesn't give them butterflies. Marriage is rarer now because when you find your person, want to touch, rub, kiss, hug, laugh at the same jokes. The intimacy that I experienced with Malcolm, because we find the same things funny and humorous, we have the same values. Something will happen and we'll just like make eye contact and like bust out laughing. The intimacy of that. Now that's something you can do with friends. But the thing that takes it to the next level is then y'all touch, rub, kiss, hug, stare passionately into each other's eyes, hold hands, walking down the street. I've now started a new book called The End of Love, Racism, Sexism, and the Death of Romance by Sabrina Strings. She wrote Fearing the Black Body about fat phobia, and that's a critical work. A critical intervention, so widely cited, so important. Like, she is legitimate. But The End of Love, girl, so far, it is depressing. In fact, let me go ahead and read some highlights. This is just from the opening. She writes, quote, "In this book, I showed that the dissolution of straight relationships has not happened by chance, but by design. I argued that a formation of male media moguls has worked to erode romance as a direct backlash to the 20th century feminist and civil rights movements. They have managed to do this by hiding their intent in plain sight through a series of messages communicated among themselves and to us via the mass media. Prominent men across racial and ethnic groups in the U.S. have worked to kill romance by asserting that it should be limited to special cases involving the, quote, right types of women." I think that that's a fairly accurate assessment of where we are. If you encounter a man who thinks adoration is something you have to earn, get the fuck out of there. This is just from my experience, my feeling. You meet people, you interact with them, you talk on the phone, you text all day, maybe you FaceTime, then you go out on dates, and maybe the chemistry is just not immediately there, but the idea of, while we're figuring each other out, I'm proving something. No. That's something that you can suss out early. That's why I never went on coffee dates. I rejected that because it's just not my speed. And I knew I wanted to be adored. And again, I'm not giving any advice. I'm saying that for me, there's a certain kind of dynamic, a momentum, a feeling, a passion, a longing that I wanted because I felt it before and I know how fun it is. And so I don't want to go, it's just the low effort thing. Like, don't try to lowball me. That's my thing. I'm not saying that it makes either party a bad person. It's just for me. Okay. Now let's move on. My next highlight. Many men in positions of power have worked doggedly to undermine heterosexual romance in a direct effort to usurp what little power women used to have in matters of affection. They have done so as a way of reinforcing the racial and gendered status hierarchy that was rattled during the movement era. Ooh, my goodness. I always say that these dating and marriage conversations are about economic anxieties, but I also fail to mention that they're also about status anxiety. And status is not always about money. This is the thing. So that's why when people say, well, plumbers make $100,000. Okay. When people say, well, electricians can make six figures. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about income exclusively. I'm talking about a host of other things. And a part of that is what could be traditionally called status, but it's also like a culture. It's a culture fit. Ooh, I didn't do a follow-up to the For Harriet video I made about Black men in college or whatever, but a follow-up I wanted to make was women now are looking for a culture fit. The men love to talk about business. Okay, let's approach this like it's a business. Are you a culture fit? And you don't want to date somebody who's not a culture fit if the vibes aren't good. So yeah, it's status, it's economics, it's, social class / culture / background. It's a whole bunch of other things. With regard to what Sabrina Strings actually wrote there, that men are trying to, or not trying to, they are denying women romance in order to rebalance the power dynamics in dating. That makes 100% sense. Listen to the men who lead these conversations. I've been thinking and talking about my dad a lot more recently because thanks to therapy and self-work and time, I'm finally made peace with his death. I am out of the loss of a dream part. I can now move into I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful to have had a great father who did the absolute best that he could. I always knew he was trying his absolute hardest. So many people have suffered from a lot of neglect in their lives. And that's not exactly what I suffer from. Maybe some other things, but not neglect. Okay. And so now that I don't have to focus on the loss, I can remember my father, who he was, the kinds of messages that he used to impart. I talk about my dad a lot in these contexts because he was a sexist. Like most men are sexist. An old boomer Southern Christian Black man, a military Black man. Like it was a lot, okay? But he wasn't a gender war sexist. In my mind, when I think about the conversations that we would have and the conversations he would have with my sister, who's 8 years older, he would be so appalled by how much work contemporary men have to do to assert themselves as dominant. Men buck up and puff up around other men. Men who have stuff don't buck up and puff up around women. Oh my God. If you aren't familiar with the old school sexists, you just don't know. It's just stuff that they never had to worry about. Because Black professional men in the 90s? I'm sorry, did you say you have a graduate degree or graduate degrees? Are you kidding? Especially in the South, they were Jesus. I mean, walked on water. And you go to church? Oh my God. They were deities. They were single-handedly saving the race. They didn't have to worry about trying to boss up on women. And so it occurred to me, I just decided, I'm 36, so I'm just going to be who I am. I'm going to be all that I can be. I'm not going to turn away from it. It occurred to me that gender wars misogyny is low-class misogyny. It's scratching and surviving misogyny. It's I'm just barely making it misogyny. It's I'm doing the best I can with what I got misogyny. That made me want to go back to the Stephanie Coontz book on marriage because there was a little thing that I highlighted in there. It was a passing reference to how gender antagonism and gender mistrust is higher among people who experience more economic precarity. And so I went back to look at the footnotes. I'm going to maybe dig this up, but the footnotes for that was Rebecca Coley, What Mothers Teach, What Daughters Learn, Gender Mistrust and Self-Sufficiency Among Low-Income Women. It says, in Booth and Crowder, Just Living Together, see Chapter 16. And then the other note is Donna Franklin, What's Love Got to Do with It? Understanding and Healing the Rift Between Black Men and Women. Simon & Schuster, 2000. So I need to go back and look at those footnotes, or are they endnotes? What's the difference between footnotes and endnotes? Y'all tell me in the comments. But there is something about this gender mistrust, distrust kicking up real bad in the time when income and wealth inequality are as bad as they were during the Gilded Age. It's as bad as it was during the French Revolution. People are just scared. People are scared that they've been priced out of love. They've been priced out of connection. Men are scared that they've been priced out of having a family. And again, a lot of them have been. That's the thing. Let's move on. The old rules of courtship have been shorn, but a more modern set of ideas has not yet taken their place. Rather, the uncertainty left by the upending of the old way has left a gaping maw that women have stared into without answers. Numerous men, for their part, have tried to fill the void with the more pronounced misogyny, leaving women everywhere to grapple for solutions to a host of male behaviors many call, quote, toxic. Instead of trying to spackle over the collective breakdown in male-female relationships, more women should embrace the undeniable truth. What we are witnessing is the end of romantic love. Not a lot shocks me. I was like, oh my God. You just don't hear it stated like that. I mean, even if you feel it, even if intellectually you see it and you're like, oh, something ain't right here. But I think she might be right. I was so caught off guard by that because of the sadness of it. That breaks my heart. I don't think romantic love is over, but I think romantic love is a privilege. I think access now to romantic love involves more luck now than it's ever involved. I think romantic love in 2025 is a luxury. I just got finished watching a video about the woman going viral on TikTok. I don't be on TikTok, but y'all always are talking about TikTok, so I get exposed to it. A woman on TikTok talking about how she paid the dating coach Anwar White $10,000, and he helped her to find love and, more importantly for her, find a man who wanted marriage. They met a year ago. They got engaged a couple months ago. So after 10 months of dating, and they're going to get married in 5 months. And this woman is 39 years old. Yeah, the age does matter. It does matter. That's why things got to move, right? Once you get to a certain age and you want certain things got to move. There's a conversation about $10,000. Huh? I mean, honestly, $10,000. I mean, I paid twice that for business coaching. And she probably got more out of paying the $10K to Anwar than I did out of the $5K for business coaching. I'm just like, she got what she wanted. Think about what it means if it's normalized, we'll say. If we're on the pathway to women who are not celebrities, clearly she's a high earner if she can pay the $10,000. But it's a luxury good. It's a Chanel bag. It's a low tier resale Birkin. And by the way, that's low tier 10K, right? That is where we're at. But anyway, she's happy. I can't help but be happy for her. But we don't know what kind of man that is. He might be looking for a place to stay. We don't know. I don't know. $10,000 is a lot of money. Romantic love that leads to the kind of partnership you desire is a luxury good now. Oh, and speaking of that, I always want to say, I don't believe in giving dating advice. I can give my reflections. I want to underscore that my adventures in heterosexuality are not prescriptive. I am not saying that if you do what I do, then you will get my outcome. I actually would say results not typical. I would actually say results not typical. We just had the best Saturday. It was just so good. Have a person who isn't trying to be all up in the videos, isn't asking me for money. I'm sorry, it matters. I'm sorry, that does matter. Takes proactive steps to better himself. Is a person who makes me feel respected, appreciated, cherished, and loved. But most importantly, a kind man, a generous man, a principled man with good character. That's the thing. You can find a culture fit, but if they have poor character, which a lot of people out there have poor character, it's an epidemic. The poor character epidemic, it's out there. It's catching. And poor character isn't attached to a social class. It's not attached to a socioeconomic status. It's not attached to a degree. It's everywhere, girl. It's spreading like wildfire. Because there's incentives for that. But anyways, I just have to say, results not typical doesn't mean results impossible. But I'm just trying to be honest. Okay, y'all, I had to pick the microphone back up so I could come back and say the character thing is so critical, not because of the culture fit, but because a man with poor character will ruin your... This is advice I am so comfortable giving because I have seen it over and over again. Men who do not take pride in being good, principled, moral, gotta be wary of the... If Bobby and Ricky jump off a bridge, I'm going to jump off the bridge too. Everybody is immoral. Everybody cheats. everybody lies, and everybody is petty and vengeful ass man is a scary man. That's a man to avoid at all costs. They have no internal moral compass. It's all external. They're always being acted upon, being pushed. Ooh-wee, I have seen that so many times. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you next time. Bye.